Well, welcome back, everyone, to the Reckless Recover podcast. We have some amazing guests with us today. We have Melody Pacheco here, and we also have Sydney Reckless joining the pod today. This is going to be a really, really important podcast, I can already tell before we even start. Can you just give us a brief introduction about what you're about? Tell us about Suicide Watch, your nonprofit, and your podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Melody Pacheco again. You can find me at Suicide Watch, The Pretty Ugly. I'm going to start with that, with The Pretty Ugly. Lately, I've been getting feedback. I'm always open to feedback, and people wonder, why do I call myself The Pretty Ugly? I mean, I'm the epitome of the pretty ugly. People see the pretty face, right? But they never pull the curtain back to see the trauma, the pain, or the hard work. It's just like that same thing where people like want the good life, but they never want to do what it takes to have the good life, right? Or everybody else will have it. So I really talk about that too, because when I was a kid, like 15, 16, I left home early. House was just full of domestic. I call it, I was writing the other day and I call it infested with domestic violence and alcoholism. My stepdad was abusing alcohol. And, I just knew when that was happening, the craziness was happening. And eventually my brother, he left home at 14, I left home at 16. And what is a 16-year-old going to get into? Drugs, homelessness, everything you can think of, right?
Yeah.
So what I found when I started talking about Suicide Watch was in 2018. My background is digital and social media marketing for the last 10 years. So I was working on a deal, to be straight up, right? And it was like Christmas Eve, and the gentleman started talking about how a lot of people commit suicide during the holidays. And he told me about this kid that like threw herself in front of a train, a 15-year-old kid, and then a 6-year-old, a teacher told him, hey, you should just go home and kill yourself. So the kid hung himself. So it just like a gut punch, like, whoa. And then it just made me think about when I was 15 or 16, like how I didn't want to live. And at that moment, I've never gotten downloads before, but the download was, oh my God, if I could just tell these kids, like, if I can make it and the things I got into, I'll just tell you the shit I got into.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They could make it. And I started realizing that the suicide happens before the suicide.
That's right.
It wasn't me. I was doing X for a long time, right? I was doing a lot of stuff that I could have OD'd or I could have. So I'm like, is suicide the gun, the pill, and the rope, or is suicide everything I was doing? So it was like a slower death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we think we're exempt because we're not getting the gun or we're not getting that. So I just started realizing I was so suicidal then and nobody even knew it.
I don't know if I saw this on your social media or I saw it recently, but it had in writing, it said committed suicide and it had committed crossed out and said died by suicide.
I don't think so.
Have you heard of that before?
Yeah, a lot of people,
Yeah.
they say die by suicide. For me, I just don't even speak about it traditionally like that.
Yeah.
And I think the more that not saying negating the statistics, but the more I get into the statistics, the more I stop listening to my downloads and seeing what I'm seeing. So it's almost like I want to get the information and I'm on the post, but at the same time, I want to get divine downloads where I can reach people.
Okay.
Because if we were reaching people, it wouldn't be so high, right? If we were
Yeah.
talking about the statistics and how it wouldn't be so high.
Yeah. And so you'd mentioned before, like in your story, right? You had found yourself in addiction, right? That's kind of like where a lot of my guests and my story comes from as well. I have tons of childhood trauma, and I related to a lot what you said. But when did you hit your breaking point when it came to addiction? When did that start? Like, was it before you left home, or was it like after that?
Well, when I started doing ecstasy, I was hiding it, so nobody knew I was doing it. And I played basketball, I played sports, so it was. I was actually was with my ex-boyfriend introduced me to it. So I just realized I met Dr. Drew the other day, and I was telling him that I was addicted to X for like 10 years. And then as I'm talking to him, I hear myself say, yeah. And I don't even think it was the X because once I left him, I stopped doing ecstasy. So it was more of a love addiction. And he wrote me back and um, he goes, it's interesting you say that because love addiction is a relative to codependency.
Yeah.
And when he
For sure.
said that, that was another like, whoa.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was that point where I realized this guy that I was with, he could only show love when he was high. So I started chasing that and I just kept getting down, down, down because that was my high. So then when I couldn't be with him, I was doing the drugs. And then I started getting sick. The next thing you know, I was in the hospital. Then I started realizing, dude, the breaking point was there was like, why am I here? Like,
Yeah.
this is just what this life is about. So
Mm.
I think that at 18 was a time where I hit that wall
Yeah,
for sure.
and you also had mentioned that you yourself has struggled with suicidal ideation,
Mhm.
right? And struggle. So, what was like the one moment you thought like this was the end, or this was enough for you?
Twice actually.
Okay.
When I was 18, I just remember the same guy that was feeding me the X, right?
Hmm.
I just remember told him I don't want to be here anymore. And I don't know, he apparently took it seriously. And I just remember I was going to a hotel and a Barnes and Noble, and we just talked and talked and talked. Cause I just started thinking about how. I was thinking about like what's the least painful way, but I just know I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
So 18, and then recently, actually 2022, when I lost my brother to suicide.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, that was another one where I'm all about mind management and observing your thoughts,
Yeah.
and I just kept hearing myself talk like it wasn't me,
Hmm.
because that's not who I am. That's not of God. So thank God that I was really mindful, where it just kept telling me how to do it, and I was just like
Yeah.
holding on. I was like, if I just get through tonight,
Mm.
if I could just get through tonight. So yeah, recently actually, so 2022.
Yeah. So, yeah. So February of this year, my best friend DC, decided to take his own life, and I found him in his house, and
Wow.
it it honestly, I don't know how to describe it besides what other people say, because I was so disassociated. I had so much trauma in my life growing up, and so much therapy and EMDR in my adult life. I didn't quite realize that, as being older now and experiencing something like that, I didn't realize how much it would affect me. Because
Mm,
I actually, even when I went to his house, before even going to his house, he wasn't supposed to be home. But I heard his phone going off, like his alarm going off in the house,
Mm.
like before I even opened the door. And I remember thinking, is like, just don't disassociate, because I know what it's like to like push it down somewhere in me and then deal with it later. It goes into your body and wherever, all the nooks and crannies, and your sleep and your stomach. And I just told myself, if this is what I think it is, just accept it. That was a literally conversation I had with me before I opened the door, because I have seen so many dark and terrible things in my life. And I had no idea that was going to affect me, and the way that it did, but I was unable to accept it in that moment. And I ended up just completely disassociating, and uh, I just related to a lot what you just said, because it almost like he took the power from me,
mhm.
because I've struggled with mental health my whole life, and I've had to do a lot of changes and major life changes, self care changes, and relationship changes. Right, codependency is a huge part of it. Right, I've gone through a lot of that because I'm totally the rescuer. I just
Correct.
want to save everyone.
Yeah.
Right, I
You
want every.
see it and you're like,
Yeah,
they can't go through what I went through.
yeah, yeah. And so I find myself in entanglements like that, right, or soul ties. Right, I don't know if
Yeah.
you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I just, in that moment, and thereafter, I was just going through this cycle in my head where, because I've had ideations even the last 10 years. They come up, and, I think about, when things are, because the things don't necessarily go away, kind of like what you were talking about. And I don't know how it was with your brother, but when this happened, I felt like he took it from me,
Yeah.
you know, because I've also struggled with that for a long time. But then after seeing myself go through that, and his young kids, and he was a great man, really good man. And I saw now, and it was like almost my higher power and God revealing, like, this is how it affects the people around you, because
Mm.
I'm not thinking about that when I'm in those thoughts.
Yeah.
I'm only really thinking about me, and which is okay from time to time with the right, maybe right discernment, but usually I'm really selfish when I'm thinking those thoughts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How did you go to therapy, or what's been like your main, like, life buoy? What's the one thing that you've done to kind of find your path moving forward from that?
I would have to say basketball.
Okay.
This is like my favorite room. I've never filmed in here before, just
Yeah.
because inside, when I say don't judge a book by its cover,
Yeah.
this is me inside. Like,
Okay.
and basketball was my family's thing. My brother and I, my nephew, that's what we did in our family. We played basketball. We go across the street to the school. And I just remember my brother's just a warrior. You ever meet those men that just
Yeah.
warriors,
Yeah.
natural provider, natural warriors? I mean, in and out of jail, but heart of gold.
Yeah.
looks like a dangerous
Yeah,
person,
yeah.
but just the sweetest person. And
Mm,
it was getting rid of that relationship that I was in and getting back physical. So I don't care if like you gotta walk. I gained like 50 pounds during that. You know, I was
mhm,
drinking. I've never
yeah,
had an issue with drinking. So the addiction thing came back again. And it was because I was with someone who
mm,
was doing that. And
mm,
sports and just I'm a manifester. I believe words have power, life and death is in the power of the tongue. And when you hang around people who are not believers, who speak poorly about themselves, about other people, and they just have that self hate, I don't care how much of a mental health advocate you are,
yeah,
when you hit rock bottom and you have nobody to pull you up, that's what I learned from this is that you have to get around people that see the person you can become, not the person
Mm,
you are today.
yeah,
And I'm thankful for all those people that was praying for me. Because I
yeah,
was silent during that whole
yeah,
thing. I didn't tell anybody anything. So sports, playing basketball, because when I play basketball and my handles, they're trash. When I'm trying to, dribble
yeah,
or shoot and they're just trash. And I'm like, who am I?
yeah,
And then I go back at it and I go again and it forces me to concentrate. And then by the time I leave the court, I'm that much better.
yeah,
And then that reflects in my personal life. And then I
mhm,
hear my brother in my ear, like,
mhm,
dude, how long are you going to stay down there? Like,
yeah,
this is not us. Like, what's
yeah,
up? Like, he's
yeah,
on me. So I can hear him more now,
yeah.
even than the last 10 years when he was alive. So I would say
Mm.
sports for me.
Okay, that was a big outlet, right?
Yep, still
Okay.
is.
Yeah. And Sydney, like like when you hear us talking about stuff like this,
mhm,
right? And when it comes to like recovery and where you've been at, you know, how often have you found yourself, probably in the beginning, right? Like when
mhm.
you first get clean,
Yeah,
right? Because you've talked about that in your social media about
yeah,
like the first 90 days or
yeah.
30 days, even those moments of silence where you're alone with yourself, right?
And
That's
your
where you're,
head just races.
yeah,
And it's like it can get really dark. Like you remember me in the
yeah,
first 30 days, I
yeah,
was really
yeah,
angry.
yeah,
And I remember saying at one point, like, if this is what sobriety is like, I don't want it.
yeah,
Like F this. But
yeah.
yeah.
And so what made you like stay keeping like trudging forward?
I knew going back out, there wasn't gonna be anything good for me out there.
Yeah.
And I feel like this time around I got grouped up with like a good group of people who
Mhm.
actually wanted it as well.
Yeah.
And honestly, I thought like if I go back out, I'll die.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, we were comparing the unknown of moving
right.
forward, right? In
Right.
recovery and like doing good things for ourselves. We compare that to what we know is waiting for us.
Yeah.
That's usually like the whole playing the tape through, right?
Right.
Like I know for a fact this is and honestly a lot of addicts and a lot of people like choose that because they just know it to be, accurate. At
Mhm.
least I know what to expect.
Yeah.
Like, at least I know I'll be in a hotel for a couple weeks and I'll be getting high and everything will be,
Yeah.
you know
I'll numb out and I'll feel better.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so we follow down that, but the thing is what people miss is and that's why surrounding yourself with people, right? Surrounding yourself with people who are like-minded or people who are trying, like you said, trying to just better their life and make not wisest, healthy decisions that are, and most of them are just different. We've never done it before. So it
Yeah.
feels super foreign. So
Right.
then we feel like we're in the wrong place
Mhm.
until we're there long enough to experience like, oh, okay, when I do this contrary action and I do something a little bit different, I get different results. And
Yeah.
like I say this a lot, but if you would have told me what my life looked like today, my first like month in sobriety, I probably would have never stuck with it, because I truly didn't know what I wanted. I imagined my life a certain way, like
Right.
this, washed up rock star, like strung out in heroin and like the classic just shit show, right?
Yeah.
And I liked it. That was this ego I had. I was like, I'm just a wreck. So,
You're
I'm
like,
just
that's
a
me. That's
mess.
easier.
I'm
That's
a
sometimes
it's
that's easier to because
yeah.
you know what you're capable of and you
Yeah.
know your potential.
Yeah.
And there is something that happens to you where you're like, you know what? Sit, but then there's something else that kicks in you that's constantly hunting you, like you're full of shit. You know you're full of
Yeah,
shit.
and like I have this song I wrote called Heroin, right? And I wrote it a long time ago. And the longer I stay sober, the harder it is for me to compel those emotions.
Mm.
I bet.
Because I used to go back to that place. Like when I first met Sydney, I played some songs for her and some other people. And I remember at that time it was much easier for me to go back to that place,
Hmm.
of just complete demoralization, right? Complete just hopelessness. And I sing that, and I try to evoke that emotion. I used to do pretty well at it.
Mhm.
And now I find it's very difficult to find that place, which is, I celebrate that.
Yeah.
But it's just crazy. Like, if you would have told me like what it looked like today, this was never a part of what I wanted to do.
Oh yeah.
You
It's
know,
always like that, isn't it?
I was like, I own a treatment center. Like, that is something that I'm so grateful for today. And
Yeah.
it's very hard to do, and helping people. A lot of us are called wounded helpers, right? We're people who are also really struggled at one point, and we're still trying to be in recovery and still trying to help ourselves while we're helping people who don't want to get helped. Right.
Yeah.
And
Tell me about it.
it's really difficult.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's not exactly what I imagined for myself, but there's nothing more fulfilling. And that kind of leads me to my next question. Like, when you talk about Suicide Watch and your social media and your nonprofit, what are the resources that you're hoping to give people? And then give me a scenario of somebody who did reach out to you, and tell us about how that worked out, and what are you most proud of with your nonprofit?
Well, I appreciate you asking that question because I'm actually announcing that I'm gonna really I don't know who's gonna join.
Hmm.
Because again, this time coming around, because I took 2 years off after everything happened to my brother.
Of course. Yeah.
And like that just really resonated with me. You said you try to evoke that emotion. And what I realized this time around is my why is different. My
Hmm.
why has changed. What my
Mm.
why was then
Yeah.
and what I was on was different. Now I'm on, yes, there's people out there that want to kill themselves. Yes. And there's some people out there that are choosing to be the victim because
Hmm.
either infrastructure, who they have around them, maybe they just don't know who they are. Maybe they just are hopeless by being misunderstood or misunderstand being under, you know what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So what my goal is with my program is to teach people who they are.
I
Now,
love
I
that.
can't teach you. Only God can do that.
Yeah.
And even using that word God back in the day, I used to be afraid to use it.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I need to say creator or universe. No, it's
Mhm.
God.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that I could look like thank God I don't look like what I've been through, right?
Yeah.
So my goal is to share my 7, right? I'm the baby of 7,
Mhm.
right? Lucky number 7. The person that stirred the gift up of God with me was, my mentor, the first kid, of my older sister, and I'm the baby, the 7th child. So it made sense to say, what saved my life? And I'm going to give my 7 hacks and my 7 life lessons to discover who you are.
I
You,
love
if
it.
you if you don't know who you are, you'll be called by anything,
Mm.
right? And guess what? You'll think everybody is bigger and better and smarter and
Mm.
wiser,
Mhm.
and everybody's life is so much greater than yours because you haven't taken the time to find out who self is. And the biggest thing that I focus on is seeds. The downloads I get, is your mind is the best possession of land you can ever acquire, right? Is right here. But most people don't want to hear themselves talk. They don't want to spend times with themselves, right? And I tell people all the time, if you don't want to spend time with you, why do you expect somebody else to want to spend time with you?
Mm.
So I'm really helping people identify what seeds have been planted in their mind since they were a kid. Like, who told you couldn't do that? What did you want to be before the world told you no?
Mm.
Because what I'm seeing is you're trying to kill that person the world told you had to be, but inside you want to let that person out, but it's underdeveloped, unappreciated, not acknowledged, and it doesn't have a voice.
Wow.
So, are we really committing suicide? Because they say everybody that commits suicide or attempted didn't want to pass away. So, it's like, what is the seeds that we have inside of us? And then how do we get them out?
Mhm.
Right. And then how do we get the ground, our garden, our mind, right? Clear and ready for new cultivation, for new seeds of hope, seeds of, hey, I'm sober now. I have this to live for. And the thing what I'm noticing is people get stuck. Like, I thought I was gonna go to the WNBA,
Yeah.
right? 5'5", didn't come from my like discipline, drugs. How was I gonna get there? But God was showing me it was about mental endurance. So when your legs are like limp noodle and you're tired, are you gonna still go? Because it's a
Yeah.
mind game.
Yeah.
It's all a mind
Mm.
game.
Yeah.
So my goal is to teach people of who they are, and I'll segue into the conversation about who's someone I helped.
Okay.
So when I first started Suicide Watch, I was so raw because I was just getting the downloads. I was
Yeah.
just whatever, right? So I'm talking about black, white, 13-year-olds, 60-year-olds. hitting me up like, yo, I try to commit suicide, or,
Mhm.
I'm thinking about it, or whatever. And all I'm thinking is, well, damn, I'm not a mental health professional. So, and then I know Instagram is monitoring me. So I got to let them
Yeah.
know, like, hey, I'm not a mental health professional, but I do have experience. And the first thing I ask, instead of focusing on how they did it, how they tried,
Yeah.
what happened, guess what I ask them? I say, what is the reoccurring message that's on the forefront of your mind and on the back of your mind? Like,
Mhm.
what station is it
Yeah.
on? What you
Yeah.
what do you keep hearing? And you would be amazed what comes up. I'm fat, I'm ugly,
Yeah.
I'm this,
Mhm.
I'm not enough. And it's on repeat.
Mhm.
And what that tells me is that they haven't taken possession of their mind.
Mhm.
And the best thing we can do is take possession of our mind and keep our kids, our friends. And that's what Suicide Watch is. It's like the neighborhood watch of the mind.
Mhm.
So when I take possession of my own mind and I know who I am, then I can see Grayson. I can see my friends. I could see like, dude, something's off. Right. And
Mhm.
that's my goal. I want to enlighten people and lead them to the water. I can't make them drink it. I can't save you. You have to save yourself while I'm saving myself. And the way I help you is by sharing my story and being vulnerable and inviting other people like you. That's all we can do,
Yeah.
really.
It's so powerful. You see all the parallels of
Mhm.
like the different programs and different belief systems that, because for me, um, the most powerful thing that I can do when I'm struggling is to put action into my life about other people, right? Like when I'm being of service to other people for free 99 with no one looking, no one knows it, right?
Right. It's the
Like,
free 99. I
yeah,
love it.
you know what I'm saying? Where I'm like, it's something I'm genuinely doing for someone else, but not for other people to see. It's just for that interaction, right? So those scenarios remind me, I feel like, of like what my creator has put me on earth to do, right? Which, is to be empathetic, understanding, and have this discernment when I know people are hurting and struggling. Like, seeing past the mask, right? Seeing past
The pretty.
yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Exactly. And I love what you said, y- the most common audio tape, right, are actually core beliefs. And you said something. I want to see if you can reiterate to me. You said, it's never, you said something in there that was gold. Hold on. You said that, it's never the people around you that, what did you say? It's
It,
never the people around you that define who you are. It's the,
it's what you believe about yourself, who
yeah,
you are, right? If you
yeah.
don't know who you are, you'll be called by anything. You'll
That's what it
answer. You'll
was.
answer
Yes.
to
Mhm.
anything.
That's it right there, right?
Hmm.
Because if you don't know who you are, you will be called to by anything. Is that what you said?
Yep. You'll
Is
answer to anything.
answer anything. And that's so, so accurate. I can't tell you how many adolescents, young adults, even people who have lived their whole life in that same belief system, that they think that the people around them or their loved one or their person is going to complete them or fix them.
Oh yeah.
But really what's happening, right, is that there's this thing internally that's running wild. It's clinging to everything for a moment,
Hmm.
right? A moment of peace, a moment of feeling okay, a moment of feeling comforted, right? It could be through people, places, things, drugs, alcohol, but it's because my core in my inside is, I have this void that I believe is like this God-shaped hole, right?
I like that. I remember hearing
Right,
that you
right.
said that.
Yeah, and so I fill it with everything and anything I possibly can for these momentarily, wait,
Release.
External,
momentary,
external,
yeah,
put on the internal whole.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I learned through, and the crazy thing is I will convince myself, because I think, because I have a long history of alcoholics in my family too,
Hmm.
and I've seen this through working in the program. I'm in a 12-step program. I've seen this through working with people as well, is that I literally will convince myself that this time will be different when it comes to, as long as I just do this, and this together, because I'm so desperate. But what you said is so powerful, because I think it is true that in order for me to truly see my issue for what it really is, I have to be willing to like remove those things I'm using as a distraction, those people, the job, the money. I have to actually have those things for me be removed for me to see myself struggling in the mirror for what I really am going through. It's so easy for those things that I'm using temporarily to put in there, to use them as something to block
Oh
the
yeah.
view of myself.
Oh
But
yeah.
when I get to that moment where I can see myself, so the family has cut me off, I lost the job, I don't have a car anymore. I'm like
You have
homeless.
nothing to hide
I have
behind.
nothing.
Hide
Yeah.
behind,
And then I'm
right?
just here with myself, and
Hmm.
people underestimate that. It could be so, it could be so hopeless feeling. It could be so discouraging, but I feel like it's so necessary for a lot of people to just, even for just a moment, right? And I think it's beautiful that you have this, because from there the change can start. I don't know about the individuals that you serve with or talk to or work with, but for me, it's, if they don't have that moment and the mom is still co-signing everything, and
Like hitting rock bottom.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
and the dad's still writing checks, and the the food stamps keep coming, whatever it is, I'm just saying, like, it's
Right,
real.
right. No, for
Right.
Like,
real.
I can't see the problem for what it is, I'm always misled by the people around me too, right? And then when they say, like, negative thing towards me in that moment, it defines my character, who I actually believe I am.
Yeah.
Mm.
But when I start doing, we call it esteemable acts, right?
Hmm.
When I do things that are for the better of someone else, right? Or I use my whatever I have and I put action into meditation and developing a more spiritual life, when I start being of service to other people, when I start making my life not about the betterment of me and I get rid of the selflessness, I start to build a, from a foundation of some self-worth.
Yeah.
Like, I can be helpful. Like, my shitty story,
Yeah.
that is like my trauma. Um, do we have a moment for me to tell you a story real quick?
Please.
So I was in this meeting about um probably like 8 years ago, and there was a young woman in this meeting who was sharing about something, trauma she recently experienced, right? And I don't think I've ever shared this online. It's fine though. But she was sharing about this thing, and I felt terrible. I actually, I was coming from a place of honestly relating to a lot of what she said, and I didn't want to single her out. So I waited for a few other people to share. And then I decided to share from my person. Just, I didn't bring her up. I didn't bring up anything specific. I just want to share from my experience so that maybe some people can relate. And I think she thought I was trying to talk to her, but I was talking to everyone.
Yeah.
And she got up and yelled at me in front of the meeting, right?
Oh
And
shoot.
she's like, "You'll never understand.
Mm.
You're a 200-pound, big dude. Like, you'll never understand what it's like to feel, these feelings." And I obviously struck chord, and I was young. I was younger at the time in my recovery. And I just, asked her if it was okay if I responded. And she said, well, I said, "I know you're talking about, um, feeling overpowered by this certain person, a certain thing, is like, well, have you ever thought about what it's like for a 40-pound boy to fight off a 200-pound man, And that's the place I was coming from.
Mm.
And she just broke down and cried. And like, I remember after the meeting, she came up, I hugged her for like 10 minutes,
Yeah.
because she was sharing an experience about an assault that had happened. And I just know those feelings very well.
Mhm.
And I wasn't trying to minimize anything, but those types of connections and is why I think what you're doing is so important, because you share your story in a way where, people can come to you,
Yeah.
right? So many times when we're in those times of struggle, we don't know where to go. And sometimes we just got to make it loud for people to say, "Hey, like, maybe these other places haven't worked for you. Maybe you haven't found those places where you feel
Right.
understood, but I'm just letting you know that this is that space right now. And we don't need anything from you. Our whole our whole job and my whole purpose of doing this is literally to be here to benefit you, right?"
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of places out there that are trying to do, financial gain, whatever. And I get that all this stuff can be important, but I think that I love that part of your message,
Thank
because
you.
people are automatically just going to run to you, not even, like, you know what I'm saying? Because that's specifically something that we're lacking.
Yeah.
So
And I appreciate you sharing that with
yeah,
me on so many levels. Like we can talk for hours
yeah,
because I've had similar situations, but
yeah,
to really focus on what I heard, you know, when you go through that trauma and you
hmm,
think you got through it,
yeah,
because I did put myself in therapy before my brother even passed.
yeah,
I mean, my own stuff. I put myself through therapy. And then that happened. So the takeaway today is change the titles, change your life. My
hmm,
brother died of a broken heart.
Mm.
and that was from my mom. Got to put it out there. And what they say, being chosen or the one, the chain breaker or
Yeah.
whatever, it's like you're the one. I'm the baby. Everybody else is 10, 20 years older except for us. So it's like, why is that weight on me? Why do I see it?
Mhm.
And then you think about your mom or your dad or whoever
Yeah.
it was, the title,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Are you going to continuously blame that person because they can't be the mother we saw on the Huxtables, on the Cosby Show,
Yeah.
or on the Brady Bunch?
Yeah.
Because you have this idea, and I'm talking to myself,
Yeah.
my younger self when I was going through it.
Yeah.
You have this idea of what a mother's supposed to be and do,
Mhm.
right?
Mm.
But that's a person, that's a whole person.
Yeah.
Right? So are you going to torture yourself over and over again? Or are you going to have some emotional intelligence to say, hey, you know what? I don't like the way her actions made me feel. That's my mom. I love her. But
Yeah.
I am going to take a step back because clearly she's focused on that and been doing it for a while.
Mhm.
I'm aware of it. What am I going to do about it so I don't end up in that same place?
Yeah. Totally. And
Right?
yeah.
And if it's our job, because we will say, hey, I've been at this job 20, 30 years and that's your identity. But that's really not. So the takeaway is whether you're on your deathbed or you're here living, you have an opportunity to remove the distractions
Mhm.
and get with self and tap into the God within.
Yeah.
Nobody's getting away with it.
Mhm.
Either you're gonna do it on your deathbed, right? And that's
Mhm.
usually when people, die so full of regrets
Yeah.
and what they shoulda, woulda, coulda did, and all of a sudden they know God's name, they can pray now,
Yeah.
all of a
Yeah.
sudden.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in this interim of them getting rich, of this interim of them getting sober, there's a gap here. And every single day, that gap is you at home making yourself, read something positive, making
Yeah.
yourself stay still, making yourself not drink. And then guess what? When you do drink or do you do something,
Yeah.
you forgive yourself and you say, you know what? I fucked up today.
Yeah.
But that's okay because tomorrow I'm going to improve on that. And guess what I did today and what I did the day before that?
Yeah.
We got to be gentle with ourselves and be like, yo, I'm still here. I still have a chance. But instead, we would rather hear that voice that's not of God because God is not the author of confusion.
Mhm.
Because why? This is how I know there's a God. Why do you have to keep yelling at me and telling me what I am and you have to keep convincing me?
Yeah.
Why? But then you hear that little whispers like, you got it. You can do
Mm.
it.
Mhm.
But they're distractions over the years from your mom, from your
Yeah.
culture, from your tradition, from the boyfriend.
Yeah.
What if you just start saying, I think that's a lie.
Yeah.
I call bullshit. This is me in my head. This is
Yeah.
myself. I call bullshit. I'm
Yeah.
throwing that in trash.
Well, you said labels too, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
roles, right? And I
Titles,
think
labels.
yeah, and sometimes, there's like these statistics that are baffling for people to read, like especially with family systems, right? Um, I know for most people and most studies say that, a unhealthy, toxic, or abusive parent is
Mhm.
healthier than an absent parent, right?
Whoa.
So they
Mm.
only for having a reference point. That's
Can you
it.
just say that one more time? That was deep. What?
Yeah, yeah. So statistically, we learn that in family roles, right, having a unhealthy, toxic or unhealthy parent or abusive parent
Present.
is healthier than having an absent present because
Wow.
we
Mm.
have a focal point, right? We at least know like this is bad
Yeah.
or this was not good, right? When it's absent, we're constantly on this search
Making
to
up.
fill it, right?
Yeah.
But that's why you said it's so healthy about these labels, right? So one of the most important things that I see with people establishing new structures of living, new identity is going through those labels, right? Like I can't tell you how many young men I've worked with who have major issues with their mom, right?
Yeah.
And because it's mom, right? This is my mom. And but what follows that? What are the things that we're not really mothering of mom,
Motherly, like, yeah. Mhm.
because in a sense there are these roles, right? And they can take shape and form, right? Between mom, dad, or mom and dad. It doesn't matter. These roles that go in there, I think, are all focal points, right? And I know this could be up. I know people can probably disagree with me, and that's all good. It's just that with mom and dad, what I notice in young men with moms is that when the lack of nurturing is there and the lack of safe space, right? there's a lot of aggression there, right? There's a lot of people who struggle with these roles. And so to change that, what I've seen a lot of people do, that's been helpful, is they start to really do kind of a audit on those roles,
Oh
on
yeah.
the
Inventory.
labels, right?
Big inventory.
Exactly,
Yeah.
inventory of those labels. And I love how you said it, because if you can say, you know what, this is my mom who I love, right? And accept, and truly, what does it mean to accept, right? Like, it doesn't mean I hold contention, it doesn't mean I hold a resentment. If I'm really willing to accept it, that these roles were not executed well by my mom, but she is my mom, and I'm going to be a son to my mom, right, when she's unable to be a mother to me.
With boundaries.
Yeah, with boundaries, right?
Right?
Because if you address the label, then you can
Mhm.
set boundaries.
Correct.
But if
Yeah.
you keep saying, this is my mom who I love, who's my
Yeah.
mother, who's always mothered me,
Yep.
right? But she's not actually, performing those things, right? Which aren't, doesn't, it doesn't cost money to perform those things. It doesn't
No.
cost, but some people just aren't equipped for them, right?
Yeah.
When we start to do those inventories, I think is when people are really starting to, the expectations become healthier, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you brought up labels, because if I keep thinking that I love my mom, she's amazing,
Mhm.
but I don't want her to think I'm talking about her
Yeah.
specifically. But in these roles, we fall short because no parent is perfect. But once you start to get honest with it, there are some roles that are really damaging,
Yeah.
right? If I keep having that expectation there,
Yeah.
expectations are super, super lethal, I think, you
Mm.
know?
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, going back to the pretty ugly,
Yeah.
people, I've always played basketball, always been a tomboy. I've never thought with this. And, people have their preconceived notions of what I am, whatever, right? But if you really, really think about it, if you remove those like distractions of the preconceived notion of what you think someone is
Hmm.
going through or what you think, and actually have the conversation and get out of the comfort zone of your norm, because what happens when your mom lets you down or your man lets you
Yeah.
down, or we're looking for people to make us happy?
Yeah.
That's a big ass responsibility, and I
Yeah.
don't think it's fair.
No, it's not.
It's not. So every time mom does XYZ, now you're going to go drink.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now
Exactly.
you're gonna go sleep with some random guy to feel. It's not even about the guy. It wasn't about the alcohol. It was about the argument of
Yeah.
her always, never hearing you. But you see the domino effect?
Yeah.
And then every time, now let's take it another step. Now you talk about muscle memory.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Habits.
Now the
Yeah.
muscle memory is like telling the mind is, we're designed by God to adapt. We can get really good at doing the wrong shit. That's how good we are,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So every time now, and mom or dad are getting an argument, I'm like, damn, my brain's automatic. We should go get a drink.
Yeah.
Now
Mm.
that's like,
Yeah.
how do you? There's got to be an affirmation or something you do to combat that when that happens and you have something. So
Yeah.
what I would say for you, Mr. Grayson,
Yeah.
what would be your that happens, and what tools are you using or coping to
Yeah.
combat that? Nope, I'm not getting a drink. I'm gonna go.
Yeah. So I call it the truthful lie, right? Because at first it was true, right? At some point in my life, uh, something was presented to me, said, this is going to help. This is going to make you feel better. And it did, right? That's the truthful lie, right? It always presents itself at first like, oh, I've arrived, right?
Finally, some relief. Yeah.
This is I want to be like this 24/7, 365 days a year. You feel me,
Right.
Sydney? Right? It's like getting high or getting loaded for the first time. It's like,
Mhm.
man, the fear, the feeling of being out of place, the feeling I'm never good enough, right? My dad was a Southern Baptist pastor, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mm.
so us pastor kids were all fucked up. Anyways, so if you ever met another pastor's kid, these guys are trouble. Anyways, so I had this low self-esteem. I had all this just challenging, just terrible toxic mindsets, right? And I had to become something I had to be a chameleon, right? So if I wasn't okay, I had to pretend like I was okay because we're the pastor's family.
Right.
Everything's
You got
got
the
to be,
image.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, right? And if not, there's just shame, not from my family, but from church, and right, it's just a lot of shame and stuff. But when I had that moment where I felt, right, the lie, it was true at first, right? And when I used to do groups at facilities, I used to talk about this cycle, right, that has actually little to do with drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just the fact that I felt that peace and I chased it for 10 years, right? And it never completed the transaction like it did the first time.
Of course.
You know, it
Yeah.
was always the next. This time, if I do this, if I put the Xanax in this rig and I shoot it up, I'm gonna
Yeah.
feel strong, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I was chasing it. It could be relationships or sex or toxic behavior, violence, whatever it was. It was still trying to chase that first truth,
Yeah.
right? And so what I do to combat it is that I found myself in a 12-step program, and that to me is a God-centered program. Like, so my church, I had to deconstruct everything. I went to Bible college. I was a worship leader.
Oh,
You
wow.
know, did you not know that? Oh,
No.
yeah.
Wow,
So I led
yeah.
worship at churches all over Orange County, and I went to like a famous worship school in Australia, right? Um, and I had it when I got sober this last time. I had to deconstruct everything. I just had to start fresh because I had inherited little labels, right?
Yeah.
I had inherited mom and dad's relationship with God. I had inherited these other people in my life that were put in my life to mentor me, who I took their relationships and said, this is what's supposed to look like. But then when I was 22, I was to a point where I kept begging God to take this from me. I said, please help me, because I can't stop getting high. I can't stop getting loaded. And because I knew I never once doubted God or had lack of faith in God. I begged him. There was a song I wrote at the time called Constant. And it's super sad to think about the younger version of myself, like writing this music. But I had said, don't you dare breathe me in. I'd rather drown than swim to let you down again. Like that was what I was telling to God, because I felt like I was just letting him down.
Oh, yeah.
But in the truth was, God doesn't mind. In my belief, I think God doesn't mind when you're wrestling with him, because you're close to him. He doesn't mind it, right? So I found myself for the next 6 years in and out of treatment, trying to get clean, trying to get sober. So this last time what worked, I had to deconstruct everything, start from the ground up. AA became my church and my place, because I felt accepted there. First time I ever opened up about my trauma was in AA. And I found myself around people who didn't judge or shame anyone. They came as they walked, and I craved authenticity too.
Yeah.
From my upbringing, I just craved that. So what ended up working for me was the 12 steps, right? I found out where I was completely powerless over this substance, and I could no longer keep doing it the way that I was going to die.
Yeah.
I was not going to make it. And when I wrote that song, just to go off track, when I wrote that song was I was literally thinking of that song when I tried taking my life in 2012. I was in my garage, my parents' garage actually, and I had driven my Jeep Wrangler in there and drinking a bottle of it was called Jeremiah Sweet Tea. It's like a cheap pop-off drink. And I was drinking it, and I closed the garage and I left my car running. I just remember sitting in there. I was like, they're better off without me, because I kept letting everyone down. I couldn't stay clean. And I felt this shame and this like regret, and I did a lot of disgusting and bad things, you know? And so all that layered so thick on me, and I couldn't see a way out. And so my cop out, or my argument with my inner self was like, yeah, like, I don't want to let you down again, God. I'm just better off going home, you know? And by the grace of God, I lived, and I went through treatment, and I relapsed again for 5 more years. So what had to change this time was everything.
Yeah.
Because I was layered with all this stuff on me. I was just covered in just, I'll never forgive myself.
Yeah.
They'll never see me the way that I'm supposed to be. I'll never be the person that they thought I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, I got rid of the worshiping stuff. I got rid of the religious stuff. I started off with just a pure relationship with hit my knees and saying the serenity prayer and saying the 3rd step prayer. And those men in those rooms saved my life, because they told me, we don't even know you. We don't care what you did or what you've gone through. We're going to walk through this with you, and we're going to carry you when you fall down, and just keep going back. And I went to those meetings. They fed me when I didn't have food. They gave me a place to stay when I didn't have a place to stay. And they told me kind things that are not always easy to hear, but they're honest and they're truthful.
Love. Yeah.
And it was the love that I needed. And so when I did that, they told me, now do it for somebody else. And I did it for somebody else. I did it for a version of me that I never met. And it was a young guy, came in, said, will you help me? I said, I'll do exactly what they did for me. And after doing that, a few times I realized that this is my new purpose, is that I want to help people who don't feel like they're understood, who don't feel like they can be helped, and they feel like they're destined for this vicious cycle that I lived in for my whole life. It was even as a kid.
Yeah.
I was constantly just trying to. So I guess to answer your question is that I had to find a life worth living, you know, and the way that I found that was by being brutally authentic, not apologizing for who I am, doing good, esteemable acts, developing a relationship with God. And my relationship with God is mine, and nobody could touch it.
Yeah.
It's mine.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love the fact that I don't gotta compare myself to somebody or whatever. And I think it makes me more approachable for people. And nothing makes me happier than helping people. Nothing makes me happier than being in a position where somebody trusts me with that. It is sacred ground to me.
Yeah.
You know, if someone reaches out to me and says, I'm struggling, I'm going through it, it's sacred ground. And I think that's where I'm going to be. Everything else is just bonuses.
Yeah.
What the fuck is up, Orange County? Welcome to Grim Garden Coffee and Plants. Don't forget that. Many of you guys have seen me on Instagram or YouTube for this right here. This is the Reckless Recover channel. That's great. But come on into the new Grim Garden Coffee and Plants, located in Huntington Beach, California. This is a place that I fucking imagined where people can come in and not feel in this like artsy fartsy, I'm better than you coffee shop. This is one of those coffee shops where people have tattoos, people here are kind, people here are considerate of others. And just remember that you can have fast coffee, you can have shit coffee, and you can have great coffee, but you only can pick one. Okay? When you come into the store here, you'll be greeted by, we call them our cult leaders, right? We want you to join our cult, which is our coffee cult, which means that all of our baristas, all of our staff here really believe in the art that they're making. So when you get a coffee or you get a cold brew or you get a Vietnamese iced coffee, there's a lot of hours and times put into the product, okay? There's no judgment zones here. If you want to escape from like the holidays and the politics and all that kind of stuff, or families talking about this or that, this is a place where you can bring a friend, bring a date, come by yourself and sit and study. We have free Wi-Fi here. Also, this is where we're going to be shooting the podcast moving forward for the Reckless Recover. So, the Reckless Recover will now be shot right here, as you can see, and right over here. Okay? We're also going to have a membership here. We want you to join the cult, okay? Grim Garden Coffee. This is the cult where you can get 10% off, 15% off, or you can actually get a subscription with us where you actually don't have to pay when you come in to get your coffee. You pay a monthly subscription, you get a pound of coffee every month. You also get to take a plant home. We are home of some of the most rarest plants in the country. There's plant right over here. Check this out. This plant right here is from the Amazon. This is 16 feet tall, okay? This plant's really special. We take really good care of our plants, and we're doing some really special things moving forward with the space that are going to blow your mind. So, January 4th, 2026, the grand opening of Grim Garden Coffee and Plants. This is a vision, a brand that I truly believe is going to really reach people and create a really awesome space. So come by, check us out. And yeah, that's all I have. So.
Do you think that I used to say this a lot, like kids need someone to disappoint? And I think we're big kids. And what I heard, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, is like you found your purpose through you saw that honor. Like you had purpose by sharing your story, like that pain, that everything you were ashamed of, you transmuted it into that. And through that, you were like, hey, this is actually, I don't want to disappoint that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know all that was there. I didn't
Yeah.
even know I could feel that, giving that away, and that this fucked upness could help somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Well, that's the whole God design, right? Is that how can my story, which actually caused a lot of harm and damage, right? To people around me, the broken trust, I stole from people, I did just, not good things. So how can that be useful? How can that ever be good?
How you don't even think about it, right?
Until I'm in like my garage or my living room with another man, right, who's telling me what they did, right, and I'm coming from a place of, man, I understand you.
You're
man.
like, me too, bro.
Yeah, it's like,
Right.
and it's crazy,
That's the
right?
best part, though,
and
right?
like, yeah, like Sydney, like, do you when you had that moment with somebody, right? Were you thinking in your head, oh my gosh, I can't handle this. They're gonna think this of me and all that crazy shit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then what was it like after?
I felt a lot of relief.
Yeah.
Like after I did my fifth step,
Yeah.
I've noticed like a huge difference.
Your shoulders a little higher.
Not in the
Yeah.
like not in the moment I didn't
Yeah.
feel, but after like a week later, I'm like, dang, I'm not like it kind of, my
It's like
cravings
it's not
went
that
away.
bad once it
Right.
gets out.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Once
see
all
how
that
people respond. You're
guilt
like,
and shame.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
people agree. They're like, oh yeah, I did that too.
Well,
Like,
it's like you were talking about the room. Like, this is your room, right?
Mhm.
Like, when I got sober, this room was upside down. You know, there was like needles and alcohol bottles,
Right.
right?
Like, yeah,
All this stuff. And then, like, you don't want anyone to come in, but then that one person comes in and sits with you and they're okay. And they're
yeah.
existing in your stuff with you.
Mhm.
right.
There's something special about that. When someone's sitting in your shame, which we feel is filth, right?
Yeah,
That's how most of us translate that. But really what it is just things we don't want people to see.
yeah.
Right. But once we're seen in that and it's like, no, it's okay. And someone holds your hand through it, it's life changing.
It
Right.
Yeah.
is.
And then for me, that was like the very, very beginning of the further change. Like, I don't have to be anyone else for anyone else. I don't have to change. Like, if I fuck up, I could say it, you know?
Yeah.
And because I did that fifth step, I'm actually empowered to do my 10, 11 step, which is my inventory, and be honest about, like, you know, if I was I lost my cool like a month ago with a friend of mine, right? They really compromised like I was super frustrated or whatever. I lost my cool. You know, I said some things that I really didn't like, you know, I didn't, you know, and I had this opportunity. Well, they did too. So we were both in the program. So we both then came back before we went to sleep and was just like, you know, I called them and we just talked it out. And I was like, man, that was out of my character.
Mhm.
You know, that's not the person and friend I want to be in your life. Is there anything I could do to make that right to you?
Yeah.
And they said the same thing. I was like, let's just keep trudging, you know? And I didn't have options like that when I'm in the cycle.
Yeah.
So I think when you talk about spaces and rooms like that, man, it's, if you're able to get it in order and get
Yeah.
honest and let somebody in who can be trusted in that space because they know what you've gone through,
Yeah.
anything's possible, you
Yeah.
know?
I love asking the stupid questions. Because I
Oh yeah.
benefit.
Yeah.
That's like ask the stupid
Yeah.
questions. I think not. I think I know that sports basketball
Yeah.
made me fearless
Yeah.
in that respect because it's like I want to play. So if I'm not playing, I'm on the bench. So tell me what I got to do to play. And I
Yeah.
wanted to come back to you, Cindy. You said that when you were talking about your story and you finally got like that weight and that shame out,
Mhm.
right? That so many people suffer in secret, right?
Mhm.
And I've been known apparently to be very critical of myself and
Mm.
so it's like what if it's not as bad? What I'm trying to say is what was that from you to say when you said, "Hey, I felt that release." Did that make you want to keep sharing?
Yes.
Right? Like
Yeah.
walk me through that. It's like that mindset where it's like, what made you say I'm like you're in the room with all the people and then
Mhm.
everybody's sharing their story, right? And
Mhm.
then you're like, I should share my story. Like walk me through that part. It's like when you finally just had the courage to say, I'm gonna share.
I think it was like when I first got sober and in an AA meeting, like you kind of just get this like feeling of like, I need to
Like
raise my hand and
anxiousness, like
share.
just
Yeah.
F it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then so I started doing that. And the more you do it, the more comfortable you feel. But like it also opens up doors to like meeting people and getting connected and stuff like that.
Yeah. And you know what I found too is you're not gonna connect with everybody,
Right.
right?
It's
Right.
true.
And it's always somebody. And have you noticed this too when you speak? They'll come from the side at the end or something like,
Yeah.
hey, like, can we talk?
Yeah.
Or
Mhm.
that touched me. And sometimes you offend people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like that's what I know I did a
Yeah.
good job now. I don't even get
Yeah.
offended. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take the feedback for sure, but I did some like Kanye West shit right
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
right?
Right.
But don't you notice that most of the time it's because you touched a
You told the
subject.
truth.
Yeah, but you touched a truthful subject for
Mhm.
you,
Yeah.
right? That they haven't accepted yet.
Right.
Usually God comes up, right?
hmm
Like religion, God, spirituality. That's a really
Are there children?
yeah, exactly.
Something happened and
Totally.
I don't have kids, so I shouldn't be saying
Yeah.
that because I
Yeah.
don't have any experience, but
Yeah.
I was a kid before
Yeah.
in a jacked up household
Yeah.
and you didn't have to stay for me. You could have totally left.
Yeah.
We would have been great,
Right.
so I appreciate that because a lot of people they just have this shame. And how many years are you gonna if you're really tired of it,
Yeah.
you got to let it out.
Yeah, you
Mhm.
have to let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some for us, this is for both of you ladies, okay? So what are practices that you maintain daily routines, check-ins, gratitude, therapy. What's like the daily upkeep for your lifestyle, what you're doing?
For me, meditation is really important to me in the morning or at night whenever I can. And journaling, honestly, letting like everything out on paper.
Mhm.
And if I'm struggling, calling someone and letting them know, and prayer. That's
Yeah.
been huge. It's hard. Like, God is a hard thing for me to, I don't know why. I just can't, if I can't see it, it's not real, you
Mm,
know? So
Mhm.
I really struggle with that, but I still pray and like I'm trying to get connected more, but it's hard sometimes.
yeah.
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 I think find something in nature that reminds you of God, whether it's
Yeah.
like fruits or trees. Something in nature is like that's how do you, it has to be a God. It's
Right.
something that makes you do that,
Yeah.
and then look into that. I think getting closer to that and
Yeah.
getting lost in that, and I think that'll be
I've
good.
been like super connected to God at one point, and then after all the relapses and stuff, like I just lost it. So I'm trying to get back to that point.
Somebody said something to me one time that helped me a lot when it came to prayer and meditation, right?
Mhm.
Like prayer is usually me speaking, right?
Mhm.
And in a relationship, right, we do more listening than speaking, right? And
Mhm.
so that's where the meditation comes in. So I'm glad you like that, because that was the hardest thing for me, like sitting
Right,
still.
with your thoughts.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so when I'm done praying, when I am trying to usually if there's a crisis going on or something I'm unsure of, or insecurities come up, or like
Mhm.
business stuff is going crazy and I'm like overwhelmed, that's where the meditation really comes into play. Because if I pray, I'm talking, but when I'm meditating, I'm opening myself to listen,
Mm,
you know?
that's
Yeah.
good.
And so listening is the hardest part for, I'll say for me, I won't say for
Yeah.
us, but it is
No,
for
for
me.
sure for me
Cause I'm
too,
like, all right,
yeah.
okay, so well,
Hurry up! What you
let's
trying to tell me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got sort of, and it's, but the truth is I find the most answers when I'm in my meditation, right?
Yeah.
That's why I like riding motorcycles,
Yeah.
because that is one of my favorite parts of
For
meditating. Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
So how about you? What's your daily routine and what does that look like for you?
I would have to say, you don't know what you're finding out.
Yeah.
I got a story with everything or some kind of
Yeah.
connection, and that I go back to journaling. I'm big on affirmations,
Mm-hmm.
but in
Mm.
the present tense. And I say affirmations because people need to understand that their subconscious doesn't know the difference between a lie and the truth. So literally, if you hate your life, whatever you hate,
Yeah.
whatever you dislike, you need to get a piece of paper and you need to write down the opposite. So if you hate your body, I am fit, I am healthy. And you literally have to lie to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
right? Because your cells are listening, your body, that's how sophisticated this vehicle is, right? So reprogram the 369 rule, Nikola Tesla, right? 3 times in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
6 times in the afternoon, 9 times at night. Some days I miss it. Some days I'm only doing six, some days I'm only doing three, but it works.
And is it all affirmations you're
It's all
writing?
affirmations.
Yeah.
I am, but in the present tense.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to reprogram, get me in. I want to drop this with us. This is my new affirmation. I felt it in this room. You said it, I said it. It keeps coming up. Affirmation, I am safe.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Just I am safe. Just resting in that.
Yeah.
Because as somewhere along the line we found out we weren't safe,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's what I'm realizing too. And I was talking to my mentor today, and I was like, oh yeah, I want to get this, I want to do that. Or when I get all the wealth and all the money, am I gonna feel safe then?
Yeah.
Right. But think about it, it's a lie, because once you get all the money and you get the wealth, you're gonna feel even more vulnerable because you think everybody's trying to get you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a big ass lie that when you get there and you have arrived, then all that's gonna go away. It's
Yeah.
not. So yeah, that's my affirmation for
That's
a long
beautiful.
time
I love that. Yeah.
until I believe it.
Yeah. And another thing too, and just don't forget this too, like we also learn that we're safe by being safe for others too, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like the most important thing to me, like literally probably the most important thing in my life is to know that I'm safe for somebody. Like my fiance Leah, we came from very similar traumas. We were really reckless in our addiction. She's got a crazy story. She was on the podcast as well. She's like wild. I'll show you her. Like I always show people like her. Like if you look at her mugshot from when she was 17,
Mhm.
and now she's just a miracle. Like she
Wow.
shouldn't have made it. And I'm so grateful she did. But one of the biggest gifts I have today is when I know that she knows that she's safe. because
Mm.
I have not always been safe. I was very unpredictable. I was all over the place for a long time. So now the one thing I appreciate the most is knowing when people tell me that and I am working consistently on making sure that I am, right?
Yeah.
So that's something, if I know that from somebody else, I'm continuously learning about me and how I create safe spaces for me, you know?
That's
And
deep.
one of those things is the boundaries,
Yep.
right? You had mentioned boundaries earlier. That's a huge word.
Hmm.
It's very misunderstood.
And they're not told; they're
No, they're
shown.
shown. It's an action word, right?
It's
And
a real deal.
it's a action word, but it's also a belief system that has to shift, right?
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because it's a beautiful affirmation. I feel that the most, that it's just one of the most important things that if I accomplish that with somebody, it means the most to me. What's something that you do in your life that now for others, because that's what you're doing essentially, right? You're
Yeah.
creating this space, you know, what is it for you with your nonprofit, and what is the most important thing that you want people to experience when they interact with your content?
That I'm doing exactly what I'm telling you to do.
Mhm. You're living
Mm.
it.
I
I'm
love
living it.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm holding myself accountable.
Yeah.
When I'm messing up, I'm making myself stay at home,
Mhm.
to declutter. Financially, I transitioned to the financial sector, and you come into money and then you lose and you come into, you like, something's off there. So it's, kingdom minded, kingdom child,
Yeah.
kingdom, what, there's no lack, there's no like doubt and fear. So it's like, where is this coming from? It's a reflection. If this is off, it's something in here off. So it's like, I'm doing the work, and then my findings I'm sharing with you.
Mhm.
So everything I'm talking about is not something I read. It's something I experienced, I tested, and I'm showing you,
Mhm.
like, without a doubt. And I have pictures, I got receipts, I got all of it.
Yeah.
Can't even try to play me out.
Before I forget, I want to talk to you. I want to ask you guys also this,
Talk to me, talk
what
to me, talk to me, baby.
what
All
is
right.
what are the tell signs that we could look out for that you've seen within the people that you're serving, right? Like,
Mm.
what are tell signs that somebody is really struggling and hurting and having ideations or having plans, like, because like you said, most of us are not talking. Most of us who are
Right.
serious about these things don't mention it,
Yep.
right? So, what are certain tell signs that that to look out for, to let people know if their loved one is going through it, or their friend or anyone? What are some signs that we can look out for?
A number one is, if this person is always taking care of themselves, where their thing is their like hair. Grayson always has his hair is on point. He's always shaved up. He's neat. Now all of a sudden, we got the little spriggles, and
You should have told me
and
3
it's
hours
like
ago
a
before the
month. But
barber.
I'm saying
Okay.
over time, a month,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
two, and
yeah.
it's just like they just
Self-care.
self care.
Right.
They're not
Mm,
taking showers. They're
yeah,
sleeping all the time, like,
yeah.
even young kids, like, they don't want to
Oh,
go to school.
yeah.
They're just going straight to their room and on their phone. A lot of the times they're
Gosh, yeah.
struggling with kids, bullies, with things that you don't even
Mm.
even have any idea about. But we're so, in our own head and on social media, that we don't notice it. But
Mhm.
another sign would be, if they're giving away stuff, if they're like
Oh,
reminiscing a
yeah.
lot,
Huh.
and like, oh, remember, because I remember my brother called me, and yeah, I remember it was the last time I spoke to him, and I knew exactly what he was saying.
Hmm.
Like, he was like,
Really?
yo, he was like, my middle name's Monique. He's like, Monique. He just hit me up. Like, Monique, I did good with you, right? And
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, bro, what are you talking about? And he's like, Monique, like, I did good with you. He's like, I see you out there doing your thing. Like, and then I hear his girl in the bathroom. And he's like, all right, sis. All right, I gotta go. You know?
Mhm.
And it's like, like you
Mm.
said, when you walked in the house, you knew something was off, and you had to prep yourself. So you know already.
Yeah.
And what I could say, I think the hardest part about losing someone, because that day, the way he passed, I'll never know. I think it's some foul play in there. But I had to get out of my own head, because it's like he was chasing death. The
Mhm.
suicide happens before the suicide.
Yeah.
All the signs were there. He isolated himself. That's another one.
Oh, yeah.
They isolate because they don't. My brother is a warrior. What does warriors do? They save people. So
Mhm.
now, how can the savior, the warrior, ask for help?
Yeah.
that's not his position.
Yeah.
He feels weak. Now he feels like the burden and ashamed. He can't go. All the people look at him like this,
Yeah.
and that's where I wish. And I still, with grief, that's a whole nother
Oh
conversation.
my
Is
gosh. Yeah.
grief therapy. I think I got to give me some new therapy, some grief therapy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But understanding that even warriors need rest too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So check on your strong friends. Check
Yeah.
on your strong friends,
Yeah.
and parents. This is big for parents. Okay. I don't have children. I have a cat named Bella and I love her so much,
Okay.
right? But being the baby and kind of not having kids and seeing everything kind of late, it made me really value just just asking the question and being vulnerable with your kids, and that you're tired and that you need a break. Because if you're the parent and you're always having to provide, single mom, single dad, and you having to go to work, and by the time you get home, you're on empty.
Yeah.
So what energy do you have to pay attention to your kid who is suicidal? What energy do you have if you're drained and depressed? So I would recommend parents find your happy place. And if you can't go there because you got these kids, or you got a babysitter,
Yeah.
go still some time in a bathroom and remember the happiest time in your life. Who was there? What were you doing? What you look like? What you felt like? And go there in your mind. The imagination is people use it to worry, think
Mm.
about bills, lack, but it's a creative space for you to remove yourself out of your physical current situation into where you want to go. So find your happy place, people.
Yeah.
Quick.
Can I add to that? And I
Mhm.
want you to add to it too. Okay. But I'm working on I've been writing this book for like a long time. It's called
Mhm.
Thatcher and the Whale, and it's
Okay.
it's a fictional story, just basically reminding adults now who were once kids. It's written in a way that kind of like remember Where the Wild Things Are, that book
Yeah,
growing
yeah.
up? It's kind of a similar kind of tone. It's much more in depth, but the idea is that I'm trying to remind adults who were once kids about our feelings back then, and how I see so many young adults and young adolescents kind of being the victims of selfishness in their parents, right?
Yeah.
You said it perfectly: finances, arguments,
Just the stress.
resentment, stress,
Work.
business owners, religious pastoral families, people who are really involved. Like we're so really one-sided thinking, a lot of, not on purpose. It's never
Yeah.
purposeful ever, really.
Yeah.
It's always something that we're not doing on purpose.
Yeah.
But we got to remember that our kids see, hear everything.
And they know when you're depressed.
And
they know.
they know when you're hurting. They
Mhm.
know when they're not thought of or not prioritized. And you said it perfectly. Those things just come in it's like it's just kind of like an infection in a home. Like,
Mhm.
the bills aren't getting paid on time. Work's not going well for dad or mom, right? Mom went through something tragic in her family, right? And a lot of times the home system is just so um, it's so structurally damaged when it comes to us thinking about ourselves, and the way that you treat your partner, or the way you treat the people. Our kids see everything,
Yeah.
and this day and age with social media and iPads and phones too, even more so.
Mm.
Yeah.
In the house now we have a mole that is like, where kids are escaping to constantly.
Yep.
Like, you think I found my first drink of alcohol was when I was 11 years old, and all I thought in my mind was, because we didn't allow alcohol in the house growing up. We had someone staying at our house who brought in a bottle of Malibu coconut rum,
Mhm.
and all I could think about as a kid was like, if I drink that, I think I'm going to be happy because people who drink on TV are laughing and having a good time.
Right.
It's going to make me feel good.
Yeah.
We got that right now with all these
Everything.
with all the immediate gratifications, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
And so I think it's really important to talk about. I'm so grateful you brought that up, because I don't think it's talked about enough. I
Yeah.
have a 7-year-old daughter,
Yeah.
and her name is Avery.
Avery.
And I've been doing an affirmation with her since she was able to talk.
Mm.
And I make her repeat it to me every time I am with her, and when I made it up, it was kind of on the fly, so it's not really whatever. But I love the fact that you brought up the affirmations, the parenting, because I'm not a perfect.
Programming. You're programming her
Yeah.
because she's gonna hear that over and over and over.
Yeah.
And she's like, where is this coming from? But it's just
Yeah.
gonna be programmed in there.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, and I'm never, it never ceases to amaze me how much she soaks up her environment, you
Yeah.
know? So I mean, that's why I'm so grateful I'm sober. I'm so grateful I'm in
I am
recovery.
too,
Has
man.
she
Is
ever seen you messed up?
never.
No, that's
She's never seen me
awesome.
loaded.
Wow.
Yeah. She's never seen me lose my cool. She's never seen me yell. She's never seen me and her mom are not. We were never together, but
Hmm.
I truly think by the grace of God we have a great relationship. And she's married, and I'm getting married. But Avery, she's affected by that,
Yeah.
And we try to do our best to make sure that, we listen and we listen and we don't
Don't
judge. No.
judge.
We listen, but that she hears those things from me. But I'm really grateful for that. That's the safe place, right? I
Yeah.
try to protect it at all costs, because there was times where she could have seen me go off and get really angry or mad or whatever, and I'm so grateful she only sees me consistently as dad, calm,
Yeah.
safe, the affirmations, and I'm not perfect whatsoever.
Yeah.
I always try to, because I work a lot, so I always try when I'm with her just to like put it to the side,
Present.
be present. But Sydney,
Mhm.
how about you? Like, what are the most important things that you think we're in need of today? Like, especially with we're talking about family, talking about um, what was your experience growing up, and what do you want to portray for your family someday?
Well, both my parents were alcoholics, so watching that was really hard, and my dad abused my mom, and it was just a lot of violence and anger, and screaming and yelling, and I feel like I kind of took on a lot of my dad's anger. Like
Mm,
that's something I'm definitely trying to work on, but um, yeah, I don't know. I never want my kid to see me loaded or anything like that. And I think with social media nowadays, it's scary. I don't know. It's just a scary world with social media and just all the bullying. And I couldn't imagine growing up in a time like this.
totally.
Um, yeah.
Even for adults.
Yeah.
Right.
Adults, it's like
Oh,
they're
it's
in it's
addicting.
like they're in high school and now they're proving themselves that I was a geek in high school. Now I'm the cool
Yeah.
person, so now I have a second chance. And it's like, no, you have a family now. You have to like focus on that.
Yeah.
You can't reclaim your
Right.
high
Yeah. Yeah.
school. Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
it's real because that is another form of
Yeah.
trying to that hole,
Yeah.
trying to fill still.
Yeah.
So we can go on. This is what it's about, just
Yeah.
the conversations though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is not on the paper, but I want to ask if we're cool with talking about it.
Okay.
I want to talk about what happened yesterday.
Oh.
Well, let's talk about it because,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh God, this could go so many different ways.
I'm about to look up real
Okay,
quick. Okay.
okay.
Normally I don't get into politics. I
Well,
don't.
this isn't politics.
I don't even
Okay.
do that.
We don't want to get bad part. We're talking
Okay.
about what
Oh,
happened.
but I'm telling you,
Okay.
if we're talking about the same thing with
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Okay. So I get shadowed banned a whole bunch.
Okay.
How do you
Okay.
know?
Just because I've been at a like what 11,000 followers for 4 years. I was
Yeah.
hired. Like the content
Yeah.
I'm talking about, it's like either you with it and you're following because I
Yeah.
can't look at the numbers. It's a lie.
No. Yeah. Mhm.
But the bottom line is I got shadow banned the last like week. I'm just like, what's going on? Why am not the algorithm? I'm in 33 views. It's not like I'm not like, oh my god, million views,
Mhm.
but this is off. So then this happened, right? So I go, oh snaps. Look at this. But I don't like the way it happened. And being a black woman, people are like, I reposted it. One
Mhm.
of the guys I respect, a speaker that I respect, and he's just basically saying that, he has an opinion. Everybody should be able to have an opinion.
Right.
And I never post anything political or get
Yeah.
inside of that stuff just because. So one, I wanted to, something said, repost this because people are going to freak out because I never post stuff like this. And I
Mhm.
basically said, this is the epitome of the mental health crisis
Yeah.
America is in,
Exactly.
right?
Boom. Yep.
This is the epitome. But Suicide Watch Global is a global mental health crisis, okay?
Yeah.
But whoever is doing these assassins, this is not the first time. This is a signature
Yeah.
thing that they've done. So I posted and the black folks, they like, yo, what are you doing? Do you know who this guy? I don't
Mm.
follow this guy.
Yeah.
I don't get into that unless I wait till the people talk, then I research it to keep my head focused
Yeah.
on finance.
Yeah.
I'm not on it. So this guy, he goes, what are you doing posting this on your page? I need to see who I'm following. I go, yeah, you do need to go see who you're following.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because check this out. If I be just like them, so you're telling me I can't have compassion because I'm black and they killed Malcolm X and they killed Martin Luther King and any other leaders, and it could, who knows, whenever you speak out. Yeah.
Yeah.
But guess what? If I act just like that, I'll be just like them. So this man has a father, he has kids, he has family, and I lost my brother 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that was hard. So I couldn't imagine, just like JFK. Like, can you imagine for the rest of his wife's life, she's gonna see that image.
His kids were there too.
In his
They were there?
Like,
His daughters.
this
were
is what I'm saying. So you're telling me that
it's right up our alley.
So
It's
check this out.
Yeah, go
Let's
ahead.
take it to another level.
Yeah.
Now I'm about to look up.
Okay, let's do it.
All my followers, non-followers, is for you. Okay, and the trolls. Every single day, there's something on your timeline. Either you're just, binge watching late at night, but you're watching. And it doesn't take anything to say like, share, comment, share this with somebody that you know that is depressed or something, right? But let me post some political stuff or whatever you see. Now what you doing? You can't be putting that on. Oh, you got a voice?
Yeah.
Oh, you can talk.
Yeah.
Oh, snaps.
Why do you think that is though?
Because for the past 6 years, I'm speaking gems, but if I post a crip walking video, 200,000 views.
Yeah.
Sheep to the slaughter. This is the 99 percenters. They talk about I'm into financial wellness and just like mental health and financial wellness is one and the same, right?
Yeah.
But if you are sheep, the 99 percenters that don't even have $500, that's for a reason, because you're focused on the wrong thing. While they're bombarding you with this and they're have you getting all crazy and going to this race war now, right? They're changing laws. They're making things happen. What can you do?
Yeah.
To better yourself?
You're nailing it.
And make a change. But no, you can't even like, share, comment. So if you unfollow me, good. Get out my way.
Yeah.
Right.
Move, get out the way, because you had a chance to do something, just share something, but you want to talk because I posted this. If you want to unfollow me, but go look at the last 6 years of content that probably could have saved somebody's life if you would have just lifted your little finger and did that.
Yeah.
So now I'm laughing because I'm like, this was a perfect example of the sheep to the slaughter.
Yeah.
This is why the suicide rate is so high, and over 50% of people that commit suicide never was diagnosed with a mental illness.
Yeah.
Because you're consuming crap and you're believing it, and you got so much conviction and passion about this man and who posted, but you don't have that same conviction about living in your life.
Boom. Did you hear that?
Yeah, that's fire.
Oh, dude.
So true,
Sorry, that
though.
wasn't-
Thank you for
yeah.
answering that, because I don't know how I was going to post that
Okay,
today,
hold
but
on.
you killed it.
It's
Thank you, man.
It's funny because, like, even just in our conversation, I'm like, do we bring it up? I think it's so important to, like, I didn't agree with everything this man said. You know what I
Right.
mean? But the first thing I thought of was like, there was
His kids, his wife,
family, like,
Right.
immediately.
but I think that way about anyone.
Yeah.
Like, with my buddy DC, right? Like, I babysit his son, like, here and there, right? It's the only thing that makes me feel like I'm doing something, and you cannot calculate, right? Like we talked about in the beginning of the podcast, not only an absent parent, right? But a forced absent parent like that,
Yeah.
right? Where even there was a vocal point and it was taken, right? And yeah, so the first thing I thought, when I found out that his wife and kids were there, and that was on, that's allegedly, I don't know that for sure. I heard that through some sources. So let's just say that if hypothetically, if they were, it's devastating, but it's also literally thousands of people, like people who've lived life, like how I was brought up and the choices I made.
Yeah.
I put myself in some situations where I saw some very traumatic things. I've seen people lose their life right in front of me. It's, but general public don't see things like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I'm in hotels slamming dope or doing this or whatever, I'm going to see some stuff. Right. But that's the other thing. There was a generation, there's thousands of people there that saw that. And you
Yeah.
know what? There's other things that are going on. The problem is this goes on all the time, right?
Yes, and
And
probably yesterday, probably so many happened, but that you
but
won't
you
even
won't
hear
hear
about.
about it,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And you know, the whole all this me it's social media. Okay, this is I'm
Go,
gonna go off for a second.
go.
You know, I think if we I it's kind of how I feel about this would be a weird comparison. It's kind of how I feel about organized religion a little bit. I just feel like the point of social media and the point of like a church, sometimes I feel like we missed it, you know? We just really missed the point, you know?
Hmm.
One of the things I fell out of love with going to church and being part of a church was that it became so much more about the presentation than the message, right?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
so I struggled, and I don't have anything against these churches at
Yeah.
all. Like I don't like, oh man, I hate, I just kind of something happened in me where I realized it was like this is not my safe place
Hmm.
because I
Same.
for me I found my safe place somewhere else,
Yeah.
right? Um but in the same sense with social media, it's this powerful thing, right? Like the message you're carrying really truly can be a lifeline for somebody,
Yeah.
right? And the fulfillment of my life, like write the check, cash it. What I want to be remembered and known for is that I never wasted a moment to help somebody if they need
Yeah.
help and using my story to let them know that they're not alone. I spent most of my growing up years feeling completely alone,
Mm.
and having to pretend like I wasn't, you know? And so for people to feel seen, so social media can be so powerful and we're trying to utilize that, right? But it's such an enemy at the same time, right?
Right.
And if you think that you're in control of your views, if you think if you think you
I
are, we're
told you.
wrong.
Oh,
We're
I
wrong.
go. Look, I'm getting
Trust me.
shadow banned. I must be
I
talking about some good stuff,
so
man.
so I've been in music my whole life. I love music, okay?
Mhm.
My whole life I dedicated to practicing and vocal lessons and touring and selling my soul to record labels, whatever, right? And what I learned is that now with social media particularly, the one video I posted about something controversial,
Mhm.
right?
That's not what they
I got
remember.
viral. I went viral,
Oh, okay.
right? So, I don't want to get into depths about it, but basically I posted for 3 years and I had a similar I vaped in a couple videos and I think
Mhm.
that shadow banned me too. I
Mhm.
didn't know that was a thing.
Mhm.
But the moment I posted a video about something that I knew people would disagree with,
Yeah.
right? I got 1.8 million views,
Mhm.
right? And thousand,
Wow.
60,000, whatever, and got a big part of my following. So people knew me for the controversy
Mhm.
rather than what my message was.
Right.
So for you and I, that's why we do it for the one.
Mhm.
We do it for the one viewer, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And through that video that went viral, I helped a lot of people find resources because I shifted my message. I was doxxed online, basically. Somebody I knew for a long time is very famous on TikTok,
Mm.
and they told some stories about me, and someone outed me, right?
Mhm.
So I got pulled into this thing, and I was like, do I say something? Do I not say something? My parents were getting like, your son should kill himself. They're like
Wow.
Oh,
messages like,
wow.
he's not even sober, like he's such a piece of shit, like crazy,
Mhm.
which is fine. Believe what you want.
Right.
But when I turned that message to, you know what? I was a piece of shit for a long time. I was a selfish, self-centered man, not copping out on it, just like owning it, that was me,
Yeah.
and, but I want you to know that, like, because I had made amends and the whole story wasn't told, it's fine. But I was able to just open up a space for people saying, if you were like that, you don't have to live like that forever.
Yeah.
I was saved by grace. I was literally, if I were to be held accountable for all the things I did in my life, I'd be in life in prison 10 times over. Most of us would, honestly, if
Yeah.
we were caught for all the things, and not most of us, a lot of us, right? And sorry, everyone's guilty. No, but as humans, like we are just prone to, be selfish at first.
Yeah.
And when I was using, I just did whatever I just did whatever I had to do to manipulate, lie,
Yeah.
cheat, steal to get loaded. So, I try to practice that grace in that. I try to, and I changed it to be like, if you're out there struggling, let me know. I'll do whatever I can to help you. I had hundreds of girlfriends
Mhm.
or wives that I plugged into women in Al-Anon, I gave them
Mm.
resources, right? That's why I'm like so happy we had this podcast because really like when it comes to the Charlie Kirk thing, he had such an impact, right?
For
Where he
sure.
talked about such controversial topics.
Yeah.
And you're right, the outcome does reveal where we're at with mental health. It does.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why people like you and me and Sydney, right? We don't create content to be controversial, right? We
Right.
create content to speed our truth,
Mm-hmm.
to create a safe place. And that's why we don't look at the awesome. If we get a bunch of views, cool.
Yeah.
It furthers our mission.
Mm-hmm.
But we're really doing it for the one.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if we have that mentality, I think that's going to prevail. Because all those other people, like, I was super disappointed to see how people reacted,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
That was just something I felt ashamed of as a human with my other humans.
That's my point. That's my
It's
point. I'm like, this is the
people are
belly
laughing.
of the beast. This is you're looking at the mirror.
But how much of it do you think do you think this is like actual brainwashing of social media?
1,000,000,000%.
You think majority?
It's all been the same.
But why? But tell me why.
I think.
Because what if we were all on the same page? What would happen?
Well, what if? Shh, come here. I'll tell you guys something.
Okay.
What if we all knew who we were?
Yeah.
What if?
Right.
Yeah. Like, so Sydney, what do you think is the most like common thing? Because I'm a little older than you, right?
Mhm.
But you've actually been on social media for a while.
Mhm.
What do you think is one of like top 3 like most misled beliefs from social media for women, or for anyone in general? It could be whatever.
Misled belief. Like, what do you mean?
Like, is it the like what's it called? Toxic
The whole toxic masculine thing.
Masculinity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what, like things like that, like online, because we're talking about brainwashing is just like a lack of better word, basically. But do you feel like people are brainwashed through social media to have a certain belief system?
Yes.
And what are those that you've seen in people?
I don't. Sorry, my brain is foggy.
That's okay.
Um,
I'm just joking.
No, but I do believe social media is brainwashing. And lately, I mean, I want to talk about lately I've been really struggling with depression, like
Yeah.
being pregnant, being just feeling down, and I'm on my phone constantly.
Mm.
And it is so addicting and so like I've lived months without my phone in rehab, or I deleted social media, and you notice such a difference,
Yeah.
and like a clearing in your head, and you're thinking for yourself, and you're not, all these opinions aren't coming in, and the just traumatic stuff you see on, like the video was literally I saw it, and
Yeah.
that's traumatic. Like
Yeah.
no one should have to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
I even. Oh, sorry, babe. Go ahead.
no, it's just hard. It's hard for me to do social media and then be off of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well, that's the other thing too. That's why it's okay to like, especially when we're making like reckless videos too.
Mhm.
Like that's why I wanted the team to be on it. Like, because I filter
Right.
comments all the time. Like I
Mhm.
have people posting like hateful stuff to me through the pelagic stuff because they think that I don't care about like certain demographics of people, like with
Right.
insurance, and because I do like a lot of I have treatment centers, right?
Mhm.
And the problem is I scholarship more than I scholarship a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But they don't know that part of me. They just
Yeah.
see what I'm doing online, and then they take it and run with it,
Right.
And so just so you know too, like we'll work with you on that too.
Yeah,
'Cause,
sorry I
like,
didn't answer that question very
No,
well.
no, you're
that's
doing
fine.
no, you're great.
No, I like you sharing that firsthand, because I'm finding that just talking around your phone
Yeah.
is picking up the
Mm.
information. Because
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's my brain waves, and they're translating that. No, they're hearing everything, and then they're giving you what you're thinking. So you break up with somebody, now all of a sudden breakup videos. You in
Yeah.
love, happy love,
Right.
Yeah.
now it's in love, and and then most people are so on autopilot. They thinking nah.
Yeah.
So then
Right.
they're thinking, oh yeah, so now they're feeding into the love videos. Now
Yeah.
they're feeding into this. But if you just test it and start talking about, tomato juice and
Cooking
all
and
the
sourdough
it
bread.
doesn't that, and that it's gonna come up.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
if this is, again, let's go back to your taking inventory. If
Yeah.
this is what you're consuming,
Yeah.
and this is where you're getting your life's knowledge and wisdom and
Mhm.
love from, it's artificial intelligence.
Right.
Yeah, and you are who you like you said, you are who you hang out with.
Yep.
And like people are hanging out more online than they are with real people.
For sure.
Like that's a real thing.
So pick people that have something that you desire to be, not just the cars. That's the other misconception with the women, okay? It's like we've been conditioned with these Disneyland movies since childhood that, you
Yeah.
know, the knight's gonna come on the horse and save us.
Your prince. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your Prince Charming.
No, they're not coming, buddy.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not coming, you know? And or the whole notion that you got to find this rich guy or this and this and that. I just beg of you, women. Okay, again, in the interim of you finding him, can you try to do something for yourself just in case
Yeah.
he doesn't come or it doesn't come? Are you going to let this whole space go like to waste? Because, and then when you're 50, 60, you're like, oh, I don't look the same. Oh, my titty balls are sagging down to the ground.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, that's all
Yeah.
you were worth. Are you only your looks?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you're also saying be the person too first before, like, don't become the person in the relationship.
Yeah.
Be the person before that could ever happen.
Yeah.
I would have never like I am blown. I thought I was never gonna get married. Like I never once thought I was gonna have like marry anyone. Like when I hit 30, I was like, no way. Well, like my life significantly changed the 2 years leading up to me meeting Leah.
Mhm.
If she would have met me 2 years prior and I wasn't that man yet,
Mm.
5 years, oh man, she would have been like, hell no, right? 15 years before that, before sobriety, before any of that, like it would, so like I am so grateful that the timing, that's why continuing to better yourself. And I'm definitely far beyond the work is not done in me for sure. But that's why I think that's a great message, because it's like, we should be becoming the best version of ourselves that we can.
Mhm.
We'll find more security there. We'll find more purpose there. And then when that person does come around, if it's a knight in shining armor, or if it's the mechanic who works at Tyro's is a great dude. I don't know, whatever.
Right.
Right.
We're at least there in that position, right? I'm so grateful because it's hard to be in relationships when you're still trying to become that person,
For sure.
So I think that's a great message. So I do want to talk real quick about our brands.
Okay, let's do it.
First of all, this is your logo and your brand on your shirt, right?
Yes.
So tell me, how did that come to be?
Mhm.
What's the message of the brand and the name?
Okay, so Suicide Watch is the download I got was I saw literally like the globe from outer space.
Uh-huh.
So my brand is Suicide Watch Global.
Okay.
And I just heard that like with social media, with all the stuff going on, like how are you going to reach like God's children? Like how? And all of a sudden I see the globe light up, like, in space when all the lights turn on.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was the spirit. It's like ours. So it's like, how can you beat the machine? Igniting the spirit, right? And then everybody would awaken. This is in my mind, right?
Yeah.
Everything would awaken secretly. So it's like an undercover, like God's children,
Yeah.
awakening. And then I saw Suicide Watch and I'm like, well, I know Suicide Watch is like when someone tries to commit suicide, they put them on like a 72-hour watch. So I was like, Suicide Watch is kind of like the neighborhood watch. So what if they didn't get that far? What if we could start, seeing in other people and then doing something about it right where we are? Because what if the policies don't get passed? What if they're in school?
Yeah.
But what can you do if little Timmy's walking home, you're the neighbor, and you're like, something's off about that? Remember back in the day, the neighbor would feed you, whoop you.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
Yeah.
that is it. And the Pretty Ugly, I have a shirt, Suicide Watch the Pretty Ugly, and it's basically, I didn't wear it today, but it's eyes, and it's basically a picture of me when I was 21 years old.
Oh wow.
And that's when I was the most highest out of my life.
Okay.
I'm talking about, I was up to like 6 to 12 pills a day.
Oh,
Like
wow.
it was
Holy
hardcore. Like if
shnikes.
fentanyl was out,
Oh.
now I would have been dead 10 times.
I tell people all the time because
Yeah.
because you've talked to me about fentanyl and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I would have been
been
gone.
dead so many times.
This girl right here is a miracle.
Yeah.
Seriously, she is literally a miracle.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that you are still here.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Like,
Yeah.
And it's
you-
for a reason. It's
Oof.
for a reason.
I saw you, dude.
I know.
I saw. I
It
was like,
dark.
I was so. I was just one of those people that just grabs onto you, and you're like,
Yeah.
you have a life worth living in front of you. You
Yeah.
really do. You know what I mean?
right.
And you can't see it. You can't see it then,
right.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't
hard.
see it. All you feel is happiness when you're doing it.
Yeah.
And then whenever you come down, you go back to that shitty place you were at. And all
Yeah.
you're thinking about is how can I get back to my happy place? That was
Yeah.
my fake happy place, basically. Hi.
Yeah. So I love that shirt. So where
Mhm.
can people get the shirt from you?
So you got to contact me and DM me because
Okay.
I'm waiting for someone to hook me up with the
Drop
drop
shipping.
shipper.
Okay, well, we got this.
But I
people
got,
here.
hey, but
We're
I'm
good.
grassroots. They in my trunk. I got them on deck.
Yeah,
but
nice.
you got to hit
Cool.
me up. You got to
All
hit
right.
me up.
So you have to DM and let
At Suicide Watch Global, hit me up. And also, if you guys don't know, I am kingdom minded and I don't believe in broke kingdoms. So a lot of people are suffering in secret with with finances. So anything about just legacy building, right?
Mhm.
Educating your kids. Because if you're here making all that money and you don't educate your kids, you're going to leave it to them and then they're going to squander it.
Yeah.
So you can also follow me at Wealth Activators. And it's just inspiration to get you to understand that wealth begins in the mind and ends in the purse or wallet.
Yeah.
Right. Just like your life, bliss, happiness, it starts up here. You think it, you speak it, and then it acts out in your life. So
For sure.
that's what I'm on. There's
Manifestation.
no reason why you can't have it all.
Awesome.
Who said you can't?
Only me.
Only you.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. So you got your social media handles.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw our shirts, but we have the Reckless Recover Sober Club apparel. It's just called Sober Club. I wanted to create a space online where people can like have a place where they can be brutally honest about what they're actually going through. Right.
Mhm.
So I want to create a space online where it's transparent, where we could tell our stories, where people can get maybe a little bit of hope from our message, maybe the things that we've gone through, like only things we can laugh at about being
Right.
drug addicts, like crazy shit we did. People find a lot of security in
Humor.
that, right?
Yeah.
They
Comfort,
find, they find a lot of comfort in that. And, I don't know if it's I don't think it's in our DNA, but as an alcoholic, like I find so much humor in the dark
Mhm.
stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
so Sober Club, the Reckless Recover, is on my website, therecklessrecover.com. And our socials are the Reckless Recover and Grayson.Grimes and Sydney Reckless.
Mhm.
So anyways, it has been absolutely
Yeah, it was,
wonderful.
man. I'm so excited.
That was
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
such a great time talking to you. And I'm sure we're going to have a rerun.
Oh yeah, we
We're
are.
gonna have
We
our
got
sequel.
a lot. We can
Yeah.
break down like so
I
many.
think what it's going to be is
sections.
grief. I think we're going to have a grief
Grief.
pod.
Yeah,
I like
I'm
that.
I'm in that because August 20th was my birthday, and I
Yeah.
took him off life support August 28th.
Ugh,
So
yeah.
every time that kind of and it's funny too. What I'm learned about grief. It's when someone acknowledges it
Yeah.
that their life like existed, and they like I couldn't imagine
Yeah.
my brother. Then it's not that day; it's the next day,
Yeah.
and then I'm like bawling all day.
Well, see, that's the thing.
It's
Grief
like
is like a hijacker, right?
sneaky,
It
huh?
does whatever it wants with you and you have no control over
Correct.
it, right? So that's something we can talk about
Oh, yeah.
because there's 3 months of my life that I don't remember. I don't remember anything from February until like June
This year.
of this year.
Yeah.
Everything is a blur. I remember
Yeah.
seeing you here and there. I don't remember any of the
Yeah.
conversations we had.
I know
really.
you seem disconnected.
Yeah, and I on the podcast recently, I had a buddy of mine, Joe. He said it the way that it was without me knowing it yet, but he said it ruined you. He
Mm.
said those words, and I never once compared what I was experiencing to that. But when he said it afterwards, I was like, that is exactly, I guess, how I felt. But I didn't know other people could see it. So I think that'd be really good for us to talk about.
should.
And
It's a new space for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely have you back. And
Okay.
thank you so much for coming
Yeah, I
on the podcast.
appreciate it. Thank you all.
right.
Reckless in the house. I
Yeah.
never call myself reckless, but damn, I'm looking at it
Let me
differently
leave with
now.
that real quick.
Okay.
Okay. Our mission for it being called the Reckless Recover is I
Mhm.
truly believe that no one can achieve long-term sobriety without changing everything and changing new things. So the Reckless Recover, I believe we were reckless in our addiction, trying to get high. We got to be reckless in our recovery. We had to do things without
Ooh.
thinking.
Oh,
We have to
yeah.
do things we never thought we could do things that feel uncomfortable. And in order to do that, we have to abandon our thought process, just like you were talking about.
Yeah.
We got to abandon our old way of thinking and do new things. I cannot think my way into new acting. I can only act my way into new thinking.
Hey, one more time.
right.
Say it again. That was good.
I cannot think my way into new acting. I can only act my way into new thinking.
That's what I'm
I
talking
like
Right.
that.
about. I feel
Awesome.
that. All right.
Thank you
you
so
all.
much.
Thank you.
That was awesome.